Yeah.
So I want to say when I first joined, I was watching your content like a few months prior, and I was trying to like do the whole like accepting thing you're talking about, but I felt like there were a lot of holes in what I was doing.
Yeah.
Um, like I feel like I was half doing it, and then there were just like a bunch of things where I was just so lost. And then when I joined, I feel like I got a lot of clarity on a lot of gaps, and that helped me a lot because it's like I got a full piece of the puzzle, you know what I mean?
What's up, everybody? I have Ushna in this video, and she's gonna be talking about her recovery journey so far. Now, if you've been noticing, a lot of the success stories where I'll put up here are people that have been recovering for a while, but we've been getting members in the mentorship that have been in the mentorship 1 month, 2 month, and just giving you guys now a little bit more of the progress update and really showing you guys once you focus on the right steps of recovery, and so much of recovery is about implementation. Once you have the right implementation, how does recovery look like? So we asked Ushna to come on the channel, and it was very simple, which was we just want you to share your story and how things are going, the ups and downs, the good and bad, exactly where you're at in the recovery journey and how everything is going for you. That was the only prerequisite. There wasn't anything that she was allowed to say and not say, none of those things. We want to be fully transparent because we want to show you guys truly how recovery looks like. So without further ado, here's our video. Check it out. I hope you enjoy it. What's up? Welcome to the channel. I have someone really amazing. I have Ushna here. Now, Ushna has been in the program for like, I would say 2 months-ish, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we asked her to come on the channel just to talk about her journey so far, you know? And so, Ushna, I'm really glad you're here.
Thank you, dude. I'm glad to be here. I'm super excited.
Ushna, let's start from well, actually, let's start with when you joined the program, what was like the most intense symptoms that you were experiencing? Like, what was the hardest part like that you were experiencing in the journey?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm glad you asked. So, I mean, I was experiencing like everything that you talk about, like palpitations, dizziness, nausea. I had all of that. I knew that was anxiety though, for a funny reason. The symptoms that were really like messing me up, um, my vision was really, really weird. Like, and not just like visual snow or like things were blurry, but like I want to call it like a perception symptom almost. Like my perception was weird. So like I would like stare at words and like they would move. And then like sometimes if I stare at the wall, it would get like really like wavy. It was scary, dude.
Mhm.
And then another really big symptom, I want to say it's my cognitive symptoms. So of course like I was dealing with like intrusive thoughts, like ruminating, but on top of that, like the way like my thoughts and imagination would present itself was like it just didn't feel right. I was like, I don't think this is like what a regular thought looks like. I'm telling you, it got weird, dude. So those are like the number two symptoms that were like tripping me up, and I was just like, oh my god. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, and makes sense because I kind of know how you fell into this. But why don't you tell me? Because the way people fall in is typically how they experience a lot of the symptoms. So that makes sense.
Right.
So how did it start? What happened?
Right. So, silly me, I took some illicit substances for spiritual purposes. It was going great, right? And then I guess I took too much because after like the certain like period it was supposed to wear off, it was not wearing off. And then I think that's when like my anxiety kicked in and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm stuck like this. Like it's not coming off. Like I don't know what to do." Freaking out. I was calling like poison control and I was like, "Guys." And they were
Yeah.
like, "You're fine. Just you have to wait longer. You took a higher dose." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So obviously it wears off, right? I'm totally fine. I'm like, thank God this is over. I even like go to my friend's house the next day and I tell her about it. I'm like, girl, like this was so funny. So glad it's over. So yeah, I'm like, I'm thinking like I'm fine. Um, and then I think like a few days after I like hang out with my friend, we get a little too crazy. And then the next day, I'm kind of feeling like whatever, like feeling like crap. It's fine. Um, and then I start getting this like weird like chest pain, like it's like a burning chest feeling. And I was just like, oh my God, like whatever. I'll just give it a second, it'll probably pass. The whole day it was just there. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's because like that incident was like a few days prior. I just started freaking out and I'm like, oh my God, it's not going away. Like what? And like I obviously like I didn't like know how like anxiety or sensitized nerves worked. So I was just assuming the worst, and then that's kind of what made me spiral. And then all my other symptoms came up, but that's kind of how I fell in.
Yeah. And so when that happened, then what was the process? What ended up happening? What were some of the things you tried?
Bro, what didn't I try? So, well, I guess like first of all, I was just going to a bunch of doctors and I was like, guys, I know this sounds crazy, but I think like that substance is still like affecting me somehow. And they were like, you'll be fine. They were like, you have anxiety, take some like hydroxyzine or like whatever medicine they were prescribing. And I was like, okay, true. Yeah, I think this is anxiety because, that idea just doesn't make sense to me, right? So I'm like, okay, cool, it's anxiety. But I'm just like, bro, like the way my symptoms were, I was like, no, like this is not anxiety. Like something's off, bro. And then I was doing all kinds of things. I'm a very spiritual person. So I was going to like spiritual counselors and they
Mhm.
were making me like meditate and stuff. And I was like, okay, I get it, but like I don't feel better. And
Mhm.
I think I called a psychic at one point. And I was like, dude, yeah, I was like, what do you see for my future? Like, I'm freaking out. Bro, she told me some crazy shit. She was like, you're gonna start seeing spirits soon. I was like, shut up. So crazy. And then on top of that, I tried like regular therapy too.
Yeah.
And then that just didn't work. And I did go the medication route, but not that I'm against medication. It's just like I knew I didn't want to rely on that. I'm very like I can like fix my problems a holistic way, but even when I was taking medication, dude, like it wasn't really doing anything. I feel like some of them actually made me feel worse.
Mhm.
So I did a lot of things. And I'm really glad I found you pretty early on actually. I was a few weeks into the cycle, just like losing it. And then you showed up on my For You page on TikTok. And
Yeah.
I was like looking at like what you were saying and like feeling out of your body. And like, I'm like, oh my God, like this guy gets it. And
Yeah.
then that's when I just like totally like drowned myself in your content. And I was like, I think I have what he has. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So then that happened. And then I'm assuming you joined the mentorship
Hmm.
right away. Okay, and then now you've been in the mentorship for a couple of months now. What's your experience been like? What are some things that you've been learning? What are some of the questions you might even be having right now? Or like, what's going on? Like, give me an update on all that. Or like get let the audience know.
Right. So I want to say when I first joined, I was watching your content like a few months prior, and I was trying to like do the whole like accepting thing you're talking about, but I felt like there were a lot of holes in what I was doing.
Yeah.
Um, like I feel like I was half doing it, and then there were just like a bunch of things where I was just so lost. And then when I joined, I feel like I got a lot of clarity on a lot of gaps, and that helped me a lot because it's like I got a full piece of the puzzle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and the funny thing is, like, when I started, I'm like looking at like the stuff that you guys are like talking about, and I'm just like, dude, this is totally not gonna go down the way I want it to go down. Like, I was totally expecting, like, okay, I'm gonna do this for a few months, my anxiety's gonna go away, cool. But then I'm hearing like, no, girl, like you have to fully accept it. Like, even if you're recovered, you might still feel anxiety. And at first, I was like, shut up. Like, I do not want to do this. But as I kept going, I think it really started hitting me. I was like, if I ever want to like go back to normal or even be like better than how I was before, I have to do it the way you guys are like talking about.
Yeah.
Like, hmm.
Yeah. It's one of those things. It's so weird. Okay. So like when people, okay, here's how I look at it, right? Because I've been out of the cycle for a little while. And
Hmm.
when people like when I was first in the cycle, like getting out, that was my biggest fear. I was like, this is always something I'm gonna have to deal with. This is always something I'm gonna have to like manage. And then I
Yeah.
managed to get out. And what happened was is that that specific problem ended. Like that
Hmm.
was fine. And so I got out. But then like it's this weird thing where like, over the last 10 years, like other stressors will pop up.
Hmm.
When that happens, it's not that the anxiety pops up. It's that old patterns of panicking, old habits that you might have learned for the last, years kind of pop up.
Yeah.
But so the stressors will come, like, and a lot of those are outside. But then when you know how to respond, you'll see elements of that popping up and you can just easily like fix it.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, okay, like that's not productive. Or like, okay, here's what we're going to focus on. We're going to let it go. And that's the weird thing about it. Because like, even like I've been going through some stressors too, like lately, just, growing. They're all good stressors, but like still growing, and I can kind of feel like my body kind of feeling it a little bit. But I'll never like panic about it because I know I'm like, well, I'm under a lot of like pressure right now. It makes sense.
Mhm.
And so I think like when people are like, oh, it's always something, it's almost like saying things will pop up in life. But I feel like this problem of what people think, like,
Mhm.
like this forever, I messed up my brain chemicals, this and that. That's like, you'll look back at that and you'll like laugh. You'll be like, no, that's,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Does that kind of make sense?
No, totally, dude. Like, even now, it's funny. Like, I'll get some intrusive thoughts, but I'm just like, LOL. Like this is so stupid. But no, honestly, dude, I totally agree with you on what you're saying about like, even just outside of the realm of anxiety, like you'll have different situations, and because you have like your response in check, it's like I don't want to say it's like your problems aren't hard anymore, but it's almost like you know what to do about it. So you're not tripping about it, basically,
You're not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
really
And it's
you're
like,
not adding extra problems to it, You're not adding extra problems that is making it feel overwhelming.
definitely, dude. Yeah, that's so true. And I've been seeing that for myself. Like, even though, like, I'm still in the mentorship, I'm still doing this, obviously, like in other domains of my life, I'll like apply my response and I feel so cool. I'm just like, oh my God, this is like a superhero moment because I feel like before in the same situation, I did not know what to do. So I was doing like a bunch of unproductive stuff. And now that like I have this new approach, it just makes things so much easier. And I know I'm not fully out yet, but whenever y'all say like life is better outside of recovery, I can kind of understand what y'all are talking about with that, because it's almost like it's like you have an advantage almost. That's the best way I can kind of explain it.
Yeah. And you're at the stage now where like 2 months, you're getting the hang of it, you're picking it up. Your mind is still used to overthinking a bit, but that will
Mhm,
calm down on its own. The more you
mhm.
respond, it's just like this like feedback loop that keeps happening. And then over time, it'll just like slow down. And
Yeah.
so there's going to be periods where you might like overthink things still right now, maybe even catastrophize a bit, but that's just because you're still technically in the cycle. You're doing much better, but
Mhm.
it's like I always give the example. It's like driving. You don't have a brake. All you can do is let go of the accelerator, and so you've let go of the accelerator, which is good, but the car is still moving, but it's slowing
Yeah.
down. So that's like
Right.
a phase that you're in, where it's like
Mhm.
it's slowing down. Yes, there's ups and downs with it, but the good news is the when you get moments of like I guess anxiety, like little small setbacks or whatever, those are opportunities. Those are another opportunity to respond,
Yeah.
and they're part of the journey. And so, that's really the stage that you're at, which is like when that happens, a lot of people will make the mistake of panicking or freaking out, or they were expecting that not to happen, and it's like no, 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 that was part of it. And
Mhm.
so realizing, okay, that's part of it. This is what is needed to get to the next level of recovery. And so that's like the really awesome part about it. So
Right.
you're in a different season in a way of recovery now. You're like,
Yeah.
so like, I sometimes I had a mentor tell me this that was really useful. He was like, it's okay to make new mistakes. It's not okay to make the same mistakes.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, you're at the stage where you're now, it's not about mistakes, but it's about like, you're in a different stage of recovery now. And so things are starting to make sense, things are starting to click. And now, it's really amazing. It's really great to watch you do that. So
Yeah, thank you.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you're so right on that, like the whole mistake thing, because um I've been noticing, like yes, I've been getting better, but because it's a journey, your old habits are going to come back here and there. And it's funny, it's like it's almost like you're presented with an option, like okay, I can go back and do this, but then what's that going to do for me? It's just like it's so crazy because I mean, I've had like moments where I'm like, okay, like I'm probably gonna overthink about this, or like I'm gonna like do something unproductive about it. And it's funny, it's like sometimes I'll even let myself do it. I'll be like, okay, sure, like we can ruminate, cool, let's do it. And then I do it, and then it's like, okay, now what? So it's one of those things where it's like yes, like guys, anxiety sucks, but a big part of it is also your own doing, like whenever you're, yeah, whenever you're like choosing to, engage in like unproductive thinking or like the 5 Fs or whatever, you're kind of you're making it a bigger problem than it already is, so that's a big thing that I've been learning here, which is really good because I'm already seeing like this approach benefit me, in other areas of my life, so I'm just like, wow.
It's actually really amazing. I think the hardest lesson that I see members or people that are on the recovery journey
Mhm,
having to accept, and I was a little bit surprised when that happened, honestly, like because I was able to accept it pretty quick, this aspect, but I see a lot of people struggling with it is taking responsibility.
mhm,
When you hinted at it where it's like, hey, you need to take responsibility over the situation you're at, people start putting that as blame. They're like, oh well, I'm blaming myself now, I feel bad, this is all my fault. But responsibility, I like to look at it as like like however you feel, you'll have some high anxiety days, low anxiety days. That's part of the recovery journey. It's just going to happen like that. It's going to get better, but right now it's just going to be like that.
mhm,
Once you realize that your response is 100% your responsibility and you're able to
mhm.
control that, and it's in the and recovery comes from the response.
Yeah,
Then what happens is you start realizing that recovery is within you.
yeah,
And that's what everyone wants. Everyone wants the recovery to be in with them. The biggest fear everybody has is, what if I do everything and it doesn't work?
right,
It's not out of my control. But it's like,
yeah,
oh, it is in your control. A
mhm,
big part of that, though, is can you take responsibility?
mhm,
And once you do that, then it's like, okay, now recovery is within the realm of control now. And so that's
mhm.
kind of like the like interesting thing, which I've always found personally, people have a hard time grasping. They almost don't want it. They don't want control. They don't want the responsibility. And it's like
Yeah,
this weird thing that like they have to like learn to, do. And it's part of their liberation. That's the ironic part. So it's like this
right.
really weird thing that I've always noticed.
No, you're so right because I feel like just like, whenever you're going through anxiety, um a big part of you is like, why me? Like how could this happen to me? Like what did I do? Like this is such a curse. But I'm like, dude, stop. Like you don't understand. Like it's actually a blessing because in order for you to get out, you have to change. Like that's the only way. So whenever, people aren't taking responsibility for themselves and their own recovery, deep down they're not willing to change certain aspects of themselves, and
Exactly.
whatever it is, like it's too hard or like they've been doing it forever or whatever, but it's like I just think that's like there's like a sense of humor to this whole like anxiety thing because it's like, okay, if you want to get rid of me you have to like be a different person, and
Yeah.
that's just so funny to me. And another thing, it's like when I was like going through this, I saw this oh, before I joined, I saw this Rumi quote and it said, "The cure for your pain is in the pain."
Yep.
Yeah. And I was like, what the hell does that mean?
When
And
I was going through my recovery journey, I was reading Rumi all the time.
yeah.
Ironically, I was reading Rumi all the time when I was going through my recovery journey.
Yeah. He gets it, bro. That man gets it.
I got it, right? There's this
Was
other,
he sensitized?
I don't know. Sometimes I'm like questioning. I'm like, yo, you've gone through some stuff or something's
Yeah.
happened. Maybe he's like gone beyond. I don't know. Maybe it's like he figured
Mhm.
out the same thing, but like in a different way. He has this
Probably.
poem called the Garden or something like that. Uh, I'll send it to you after.
Okay.
Um, it was one of the most, oh man, it hit me. It hit me right in the feels. I'll send it to you after. And I'll actually, for those that are listening, if they want to, I'll put in the description box too. We had this poem and I posted in the community before, and
Mhm.
I was like, man, this is exactly how I feel. So yeah, it was one of those things where I always
Yeah.
thought like, huh.
He
Oh,
gets it.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's loud. Well, my favorite thing about you, like has been, and I think it's probably the most powerful thing anybody could have is attitude.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Attitude, it's the most important thing, I think,
Mhm.
in the
Right.
recovery journey. Because as long as you have a good attitude and you're playful about it, and like it's just all just learning to enjoy the process.
Mhm.
That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing. That's what's going to keep you going. Otherwise, the weight
Right.
of recovery is just too heavy. So you
Hmm.
just got to be a little bit, lighthearted about it and like, respond and do it correctly, but also then like just go back to live and,
Yeah.
yeah. So you've done that, and that's why the mentors were asking you to hop on.
Aw,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, it's funny because when I first like fell in, you already know like anxiety makes it seem like your life is over, right? So this like playful like attitude I've had like towards things that went out the window. I was like, oh my God, my life actually went to shit. Like it's over for me. But I mean, through like joining the mentorship, I feel like I got a lot of that back, and I can actually, and I think a big thing is just like what you guys like teach me, and I know like I'm doing it the right way. It can really help me have like a sense of humor about these kind of things. Like whenever I get like derealization, I'm either like, oh yeah, free weed, let's just have fun with it. Or I mean, with derealization, you already feel like you're in a movie, right? Like it feels like you're in a movie. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm the main character. Like, let me get my response in check. It's my movie. So it's just fun to have like a lighthearted attitude about these kind of things. And then it also makes it less serious.
Exactly. It's literally the best thing. I know like anxiety healers that like know exactly. And like, this is like something they always talk about. It's like, yo, like people pay to get on a roller coaster. You're in it for free. Like
Yeah,
enjoy the movie. If you're on
right,
a trip, if you feel derealized, go on the trip. Like just go have
right,
fun. Like let go and just do it. It's
right.
I read this like there was like this analogy which is like derealizations like, there's like a glass between you and the world, and like it's raining.
Hmm.
People that are derealized is focused on like the raindrops. So like, what is that? Like that's not what I'm used to. And it's just like, no, look past it. Just let
Right,
it be there, and just look outside. Like
right.
don't try to be like, why is it there? Oh my God. Like it's just like look past it and just let it be there. The sun will come up, rain will dry, it's fine.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing. So you've been
Hmm.
always doing a good job. Is
Yeah.
there
I mean, derealization's kind of cool, because like for me, things just seem animated. So
yeah.
at first it was scaring the shit out of me. But now I'm just like, because like you said, like I'll be out like the sun setting and I'm like, dude, this is the coolest movie ever. Or like this is like the best high, but I'm like totally sober. So it's just crazy. And oh my gosh, okay, I really wanted to talk about this.
Mhm.
So, bro, we have to talk about thoughts
Yeah.
because it's like it's a whole thing on its own, like anxiety aside. Um, because you know what I've been noticing? A big thing, I feel like a lot of people like it's not their fault. Like obviously they don't understand it, but just like identifying with your thoughts,
Mhm.
that's a huge thing that like I feel like when I'm like recovering, that's something that was really tripping me up in the beginning because I'll be like, "Oh my God, yeah, like I understand what the mentors are talking about." And then
Mhm.
I'll have a thought that's like, "This trip is never going to end." And I'm
Mhm.
like, "Oh my God, why is it like, just like this whole thing." And I could not understand it for the longest time. And it's like now it finally clicked.
Mhm.
And it's like, dude, first of all, stop trying to control your thoughts. So you can't control which ones come in for like for a fat period of time, bro. Like I'll just get the same 10 thoughts. And at first it would freak me out. I'm like, oh my God, my brain's like switched to like some weird mode. Like I don't know how to fix it. But I'm like, no, like just respond to them. Your normal thoughts come back on their own. Like it's really crazy. And just because you're having like these certain thoughts, that doesn't make it profound. That's a big thing, like I learned because I'm telling you, like before this, like I would have like one intrusive thought and I would be like, oh yeah, I'm onto something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but like when you're in this state, like every thought's gonna seem profound. So like that's a big thing. I feel like if you can kind of figure that out, that can really push you forward.
It was probably one of the, if not the biggest epiphany in my recovery journey, which was
Hmm.
like, oh wait, thoughts aren't you.
Yeah.
I always said that, but like then like when you're pushed into it, and then like you'll see, right? You'll have like a really you'll have an intrusive thought, and your like body will overreact. Like
Hmm.
you'll just like panic, you'll freak out. And you're just like, why? Even you're like, I felt like even I was like that. I was like, why am I freaking out so much by this? And then I realized, oh, okay, like in order to push through this, I
Hmm.
can't identify with the thought. The thought will come, body will, get sensitized. That's cool. There's no need to respond. It's a thought. Doesn't Thoughts aren't true. And
Hmm.
then I started realizing, and you said you're in the spiritual sense, right? Like and so you start realizing that there's a difference between you and your mind. And
Oh,
you are
definitely.
the observer and the mind is just like noise. And it's
Yes.
and that's and so I realized all I need to just do is just observe and just let it pass and let it go.
Hmm.
And the mind will be like, Sean didn't react, so it's not an important thought. So
Hmm.
over time, it'll just slow down. The thoughts won't pop up. And
Right.
when I that was a huge breakthrough. That was a huge breakthrough. Then
Hmm.
the question became, okay, well then when can I trust my thoughts? But then that came later. Once I got in a much better place, then I could discern what was an intrusive thought and what was a regular thought. What was a thought that was actually helping me be productive and what was a thought that was actually just adding unnecessary stress. That comes over time too,
Hmm.
and you'll get the hang of that. But when I learned that in the beginning, that like really took over. That really helped with me, like not panicking, not reacting, not falling into this habit of assurance seeking or Google searching or convincing myself I had something else. I'm like, no, no, no. It's just another thought. Even though it's very believable to me, it's not real. Like,
Exactly.
and that was the biggest thing, you know?
Yeah, what you say about being the observer, it's definitely like now I'm starting to like see what you're talking about because I've heard you say it in the videos and I'm like, what the hell is this guy on? Like, no. But like now I'm understanding it because and I feel like a lot of people that are sensitized, they might struggle with this because I know I did. I would understand like what you guys are saying and I would understand what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
But like you said, in my head, like my thoughts are still like just like the same narrative.
Yeah.
And it would almost trick me into thinking like, wait, like, does this mean I'm not understanding? Like what? But then I had to like separate, like, okay, it doesn't matter like what my brain's saying is happening to me. I like logically know like what the mentors are telling me, and I logically know what to do. So that's what I'm gonna go with, not
Yeah.
what's happening in my head. I feel like people get tripped up with like they'll like hear you guys talk and they'll hear you say this is what you need to do, but their thoughts are like somewhere totally else. And because they're still kind of used to identifying with it, they're almost falling for it and they're like, okay, yeah, no, this is my actual mindset, not what I've been building. Does that make sense? Because I feel like that was something that was messing with me.
Totally. I would even say not just thoughts, but their emotions too, their feelings. Like I
Mhm.
was talking to the enrollment coaches, and I'm going to be talking to them a little later today. And one of the things, like, they've been asking me about is like, like, hey, when people don't feel like it's right or feel like, they're not going to get out of it. And I'm like, I always say, I'm like, people make recovery very like an emotional thing, like where it's like, oh, I feel, but like recovery, it's like a scientific like approach. You have to respond a certain way. And so what happens is a lot of people follow their thoughts and they follow their emotions, but then but when they do that, they realize it doesn't lead them anywhere. It just goes in like this hamster like wheel. And so
Yeah.
the focus is on, okay, no, you have to follow the approach, which is what you're doing. And you kind of have to do it in like a certain order too, right? It's kind of like a combination log, right? You kind of have to understand what's happening, learn how to respond, and then when different things get pulled at you, how do you navigate through that? And
Mhm.
so it's like definitely thoughts, and then it was also just like the emotions that came with it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Oh my gosh, the emotions, they would really get to me because I think a big one I felt was like guilt and regret for like, oh, if I didn't do this and like this wouldn't happen to me. And that was like a really strong emotion that would come up.
Yeah.
Um, and because I didn't know how to respond to it, I would totally like let myself drown in it. You know what I mean? But now it's like I just understand now. I'm like, okay, it's okay to like feel this. I'm gonna feel guilty or whatever, but I still have to like do whatever, or I'm still gonna like finish watching this movie. And funny enough, like honestly, I don't think I felt that in a long time. Like I haven't, but I know like even if it were to come back, like same approach. It's
Yeah.
just it's so funny how like I didn't think like this one approach would be like so universal for so many different things,
I
you
didn't
know?
even, it just, I mean,
Crazy.
I still use it in other aspects. Like I still
Mhm.
use it even today. Like there was things that
Yeah.
were popping up and I was like, man, I don't know, it's gonna work. And then I was like, it's just, if it does, it does. If it doesn't, you figure it out. It's all right.
Yeah.
Go and move on. And yeah, so it's one of those things that's pretty wild. What are some of the things you would tell Ushna, to like people that are like watching right now? Some people that are like really in the thick of it. If you think remember the times where it was like, really rough for you, what would you tell them, you know, right now as you're on the recovery journey?
Let's see. I feel like I would tell myself a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's referring to yourself too. Yeah.
Right. I would say like the number one thing I would tell myself, because this was a big thing for me. Um, I kept saying like I don't know, I kept saying like, okay, I trust the process. But then I was like ruminating. I was totally like doing all the five F's. And when I look back, I'm like, bro, deep down, like I was not trusting the process. Cause if I was, I wouldn't really do those things, you know? Um, so I would tell myself, like, you need to like learn what actual trust is, and then you actually need to apply it because it's funny because it's like now like my symptoms will go up and down, but because like I trust the process now, I'm totally like I'm not ruminating, I'm not going into my bad habits because I'm actually trusting what's going on. And I feel like even for other people struggling, like if you're saying like, okay, yeah, like I know I'm gonna be okay, or like I know I'm gonna get better, but then you're still doing all this unproductive stuff, deep down you're not really trusting it, because if you did, then you wouldn't do those things. So yeah, that's the
You're
number one.
totally right. You're literally 100%. I don't think I could have said it better myself. And that's
Right.
exactly it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I see this happen all the time. All the
Mhm.
time. It's one of the craziest things.
Yeah. That
Um,
would be like a big thing I would say. And another thing, like I said, this is a lot of work, but dude, y'all have to like figure out your approach to your thoughts, because if you cannot figure it out, if you don't know what to do, I really feel like that's what's going to hold you back.
mhm.
Um, and it's so simple. Like that post Merica made about productive and unproductive thinking. That's literally it. Like when I was telling her this, I was like, I feel like I was overcomplicating it, and like a bunch of people overcomplicated of like, okay, yeah, 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 like just don't engage and then whatever. But I'm still having thoughts. And I'm like, dude, stop. Like, yes, you're gonna have thoughts. You're not your thoughts. Like, let them do whatever they want to do. You have to do whatever you gotta do. So that's a big thing. I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop engaging. And I'm like, why am I still having thoughts though? And
Yeah.
then I finally like I cracked it. I was like, okay, Ushna, we're gonna let our thoughts run, but let's like write this paper or whatever. And then it's funny, as a consequence, they just shut up on their own. Whenever you're like, it's so funny. It's also like your intention too of like, I don't want to have this thought, or like I'm gonna disengage and then it'll go away. No, bro, it's gonna come back. So that's just a big thing. Yeah, guys, like y'all have to figure that out. Like if that's a big thing, like you have to master. And like you guys said, even outside of like recovery, you're gonna have to deal with your thoughts. So it's like might as well figure it out now while you're sensitized and you feel like shit. So then when you feel better, it's so much easier. Yeah, those would be my two takeaways: trust and then thoughts.
Perfect. Literally so amazing. I'm so glad. Yeah, you're crushing it. You're
Thank
crushing
you.
it. You're going to like you're nailing it. Um, I I don't meet people that don't. It's not that I've never met anybody that's like, oh, they're making this too simple. Like, there's more to this.
Mhm.
Maybe when they're like, oh, I'm accepting, and I'm like, nah, kind of, you're not. But like, I find most people, almost everyone's overcomplicating it. And
Mhm.
that's what you're talking about. Like, you really have to nail down the approach. You have to, otherwise, it's going to get complicated. If it's complicated, your approach is off.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest thing. Ushna, it's been awesome to have you on the channel.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome. Let's get you back on here later.
For sure. Yeah.
Um,
We'll do my recovery Q&A or whatever.
well, Ushna, thank you so much for joining in. And for everybody else, I'll see you in the next video.
Bye.